Hi, I'm Doug Rawson, founder and CEO of BaseBuilders. In this video, we're going to talk about reducing your collection time on your invoices. Now, in another video that I did, it was titled the Cash Flow Timeline. We talked about how long it takes on average to collect on invoices. And the average for AE firms is about 55 days. And what we want to do is get that down to something much more reasonable. Because that means that your clients are paying your invoices 25 days past due if you're using the typical 30 days net. Anyways, let's take a look at some of the things that we did at our firm and I know worked well for us, so they should work well for you. One of the first things you want to do is make sure that your client is aware of the fact that you're about to bill them. Don't let it be a surprise. Keep them apprised of what's going on with their project, that you're intending to bill them, and what they should see on that bill. Because if there's no surprises, they're going to be much more likely to pay your invoice. What you want to do is you want to make it part of the regular conversation that you're already having with the client. So when you're on the phone talking to them about the project, mention to them that you're planning to do invoicing and you're expecting to bill this much, and take it from there. This way, especially later on if they're not paying and you're bringing up these questions, it doesn't feel like a collections call. It's just a part of the regular conversation that you're already having with the client. You want to ask your client for permission. Well, what do I mean by that? Basically, just say, hey client, I'm planning to invoice you $1,000 for this milestone that we've reached. Do you see any problem with that? And when they come back with, no, I don't see any problem, what they're doing is subconsciously agreeing to pay your invoice. Once they've agreed to do it, we all want to be a person of our word, so they're going to be much more likely to pay that invoice in a timely manner. So basically what I've just said is you want to inform your client about your intended billings and make sure they understand that you intend to be paid as well. Just don't let it be a surprise. Be sure and follow up. And on that follow-up, it can be, hey Joe, I'm just calling to see, you said we could send you that invoice, did you get it? Great, just making sure that it made it there on time and there weren't any surprises. Did you see anything that you didn't agree with on it? No. Okay. Well, do you foresee any challenges in approving it for payment? No. Okay. In other words, ask them these questions that are most likely going to generate yes answers that they will go ahead and process your invoice, and that's going to put them in a committed position to get you paid, and hopefully they'll do it very quickly. Here is another very important trick that you can do. Let's say that you're doing hourly billings and the month is March and you've wrapped up all of March. And you go and you start putting your invoices together and it takes a couple of days, and so it's April 3rd, April 4th, and you're getting your invoices in the mail. Okay? What date should be on those invoices? Well, think of it this way. In lots of businesses, March invoices get paid in April, and April invoices get paid in May. So if you date it April 3rd or 4th when you issue it, it likely won't be paid until May, best case, and that might end up pushing out into June because we know there's delays. However, if you date it March 31st, there's a possibility, not a guarantee, that it is viewed to the client as a March invoice, and so they try to process and pay it in April. And that could be 30 days sooner than what you would get if you dated it in April. So, always date your invoices on the closing date of any billing period. How many of us are doing projects for big bureaucracies? I know I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but quite often they're governments, right? I want to tell you a story about a bureaucracy issue that a client of ours had. They had an invoice where they were billing about $80,000 of design fees along with about $1,200 of reimbursables. Well, when the bureaucracy got it, there was a dispute about whether some of the reimbursables were supposed to be included. This delayed the invoice being paid by somewhere in the neighborhood of about 80 days while that got resolved. When the client asked the bureaucracy if they could pay for the part of the invoice that was for the fees and just hold off on the other portion that was for the reimbursable expenses, the answer was no. Don't know exactly why, but they couldn't pay any of the invoice if they weren't going to pay at all. So what happened? $80,000 of fees got held up over $1,200 of reimbursables. And it probably wasn't all $1,200, it's probably much less than that. So here's something you can do. If you happen to deal with bureaucracies, issue 2 invoices. One for the fees and one for your reimbursable expenses. This way, if things get caught up on the reimbursable expenses, only that money's getting held up instead of the big dollars that you need to get into your firm to cover your costs. Well, we've all been there with the slow payers that just can't seem to pay their bills. They're not fun to deal with, but they are a reality. So what are we going to do about it? One of the things that we would do is we would inform them that we were updating our cash flow forecast. Quite often I would have our bookkeeper call up, and they're blaming me saying Doug wants to have the cash flow forecast updated and I'm trying to guess of when we're going to get paid from you. Can you give me an idea when I should expect to receive a check? Oh, thank you so much. And so they're putting the blame on me, they're deflecting, and they're not really saying, are you going to pay it by tomorrow? They're just saying, when can I pencil you in for? By the way, having an actual cash flow forecast isn't required. You could still have that conversation. Another question you can always ask is, shall we start accruing interest? I think every contract I've ever seen has interest payments that would, start kicking in. But have you ever collected it? In my years running a firm, I've never seen a dime of interest ever get paid by a client. Maybe you've had a different experience than I have, but it's almost always they're just happy to get paid when you send them the check for the amount that's due. And I'm not saying that I was the one doing that, but when we were receiving the checks, we didn't go chase anybody down for a little bit of interest. But remember this, the squeaky wheel's going to get the grease. So if you're the one that's having the conversations with your clients about, we're planning to bill you, did you receive our bill? Do you have any questions about the bill? I noticed that the bill hasn't been paid, when can I pencil you in for, etc. They're going to want to have those conversations, so they're likely going to pay you. Now just imagine there's other consultants on the project and they're just sitting around quietly waiting to get paid. Who do you think is going to get paid first? That's right, it's going to be you. But we do have to remember one thing. You have to be kind and respectful. Jerks don't get paid. You got to find a way to maybe sometimes bite your lip a little bit, be as kind as you can with your clients, and they will get you paid. Nice people get nice things done for them. Thanks for watching. I really do hope that you got value out of this content. And if you did, would you do me a favor and share this with your associates and colleagues? We want to help as many people and as many firms as we can reach new levels of success. Thank you.